I'm Kevin Thomas. Here we are at the Wellsboro Shared Home for today's edition of Saturday with Seniors. Our guest today is Betty Mengee, and today's show brought to you by First Citizens Community Bank with local branches in Mansfield, Wellsboro, and Blossburg. They've been around for 150 years, a big part of our community, and a big supporter of Saturday with Seniors. And Betty Mengee joining us. And hello, Betty.
Hello.
Betty, how old are you?
I am going to be 94.
No way.
Just a few days.
I really didn't think you were over 75.
Oh, thank you.
And I'm being serious. What's your secret to staying so young?
Oh, keeping active.
Mm-hmm.
Having a happy marriage.
Yeah.
For 68 years.
68 years.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Awesome. Your husband's still with us?
No, he's been gone to be 8 years in June.
Yep. So you're here at the shared home and they take good care of you here?
Oh, yes. Excellent.
So let's go back to where were you born?
In Niles Valley, about 5 miles north of Wellsboro. And I was born on a celery farm. We grew celery. My dad grew celery.
Wait, okay, so we're at 287, the hogbacks?
Yep,
Okay,
yep.
I've been wondering for my whole life about it. I heard there was celery grown there. Phil Butler, when he was on, told us there was celery grown there, but now I'm going to get more of the celery story.
Yes, yes.
So tell me about that. What people don't know that Tiger County grew celery.
Yes, and it was wonderful. It tastes so much better than what you buy in a store. My dad would plant it about in March. He would plant the seeds in a greenhouse, and then we had to keep a fire and keep it watered and stay up all night sometimes. And then when it got to be about 4 inches high, he would take it out, plant it in hotbeds, and then from there it would get planted on the muck, and then it would grow. And as it grew, you had to put boards along the sides of it so that it blanched it out white. And we used wires like croquet wires, put on, keep the boards on.
Was this a big celery? Did that whole muck area?
Oh, yes.
Wow.
Acres of it.
What year are we talking? From what year to what year?
Well, I was born in 28, so it probably was from 30 on up till probably 50s, up in the 50s.
Somewhere in there, I guess DEP decided we can't keep flooding and unflooding the land is what I understand was kind of the...
I don't know why they did it, because that muck land was, you could grow anything on it. It didn't matter what it was, because it had no rocks or stones or anything in it.
That's where the bird watch is in Muck Road behind the... On the other side, there was cabins over there, too, wasn't there, for workers that they stayed in?
Yes, there was. Jim Thornton had a cabin over there. And
so here's the million-dollar question. Why do they call that the hogbacks?
You know...
If you don't know, nobody knows.
Maybe because it's shaped like a hogback. I really don't know.
I asked everybody who lived there if they know why. So tell me about your first school. Where'd you go to school?
At Marsh Creek. I went there for 8 years.
Was that a one-room schoolhouse?
No, there were 4 rooms, and there were 2 grades in each room. So we had a teacher for each grade. Miss Losey was my 1st and 2nd grade, and Ruth G. was my 3rd and 4th. 5th and 6th was Paul Marsaconis. I didn't like him much. And
I guess we're past the statute of limitations to say that.
And then Delancey Hoteling was 7th and 8th. And I come from a family of 17 children.
17 kids. What was Christmas like at your house when you were a kid with 17 kids?
Well, we were very excited, but we didn't get much like kids do today.
Mm-hmm.
If we got a pair of long stockings or something little, we were happy.
Was there enough money to go around, or was money a little tighter back then? We're talking the Great Depression when you were just coming out of that. It was.
I lived through the Depression, yeah.
Do you remember some things that your parents did during the Great Depression that today people would think were a little crazy, like reusing bread bags or things like that?
Well, my dad, up beyond the high school now, there used to be, we always called it the dump, but people would throw away good things. My dad would go up and he'd get paint, and he'd paint his barns, and
everybody tried to stretch everything as far as they could during the Depression.
Yeah. I can remember one time when the candy store here in town threw away a large 5-pound box of chocolates. My dad brought it home. We ate it. It tasted a little bit old, but we ate it.
Had to do what you had to do then.
Yeah.
What are some of your other memories back in this time period? I mean, we're talking before World War II. You remember the war starting and air raids and all that?
Yes, I do. I remember that Sunday morning when the Japs bombed Pearl Harbor. our neighbor came over. We only had a radio, of course. You didn't have TV back then in 41. So our neighbor came over and told us what had happened. And of course, we were very surprised. And then in 43, my sweetheart got taken in that war.
Oh.
He was in the Navy.
Yeah. But he came back okay, right?
Yes, he did.
Okay.
Yeah, we were engaged.
So how often did you hear from him while he's away at war? Obviously not every day.
Very often, more than you would think. We wrote to each other every day, and he would get my letters. Of course, they would deliver them by plane because he was on a ship. He was in Midway and Guam, all those islands. They had to bomb them. But that's how they got their mail. But he got it pretty often.
Did you keep any of those letters?
Every one.
Oh, that is so sweet.
Every one.
That's amazing.
My granddaughter now has some of them. I decided they were so special and personal. I started to shred them, but my granddaughter wasn't very happy with that.
Yeah.
So
it's history.
Yeah.
It's your life.
Yeah. So she has them. And
great. So tell me about your first job. Do you remember your first job and how much you got paid? Or well, actually, let's go before. You had chores, right? Before you had a job. I'm sure every kid had chores then. How much chores did you have a day?
Well, I had many at home because I had 5 brothers and sisters younger than me, so I took care of them a lot. In fact, I didn't finish high school. My mom needed me at home, and so I stayed home, and then when I was 50...
Made the sacrifice to help your brothers and sisters?
When I was 50, I went back to school and got my GED.
Besides taking care of the kids, did your house have plumbing and all that? Or
Well, no, we didn't have running water. We had a pump.
you had to go outside and pump the water?
Yeah, my dad had nice water system up at the barn, but we didn't have it very good.
The house you would pump, and then if you needed hot water, you had to put it on the stove to heat it up?
Yes, you did.
And so electricity, when did you first get electricity?
There was electricity there, but we only had like one bulb in the middle of the ceiling. It wasn't like today.
Yeah.
Electric everywhere.
Yeah, the old houses only have one outlet in each room at most, if that.
That's right. And we did have a radio, so
that was your main source of news, wasn't it? If you wanted to get daily news at night, you put the radio on and find out.
Absolutely. And listen to the old stories.
Yeah, some neat stuff. We're going to be right back here with part 2 of Saturday with Seniors. Betty Mengee, our guest today. You said you're 95, right?
94.
94 years old. Next year you'll be doing 95.
Yeah.
And we'll be talking with her in just a minute here on KC101, brought to you by First Citizens Community Bank with local branches in Mansfield, Wellsboro, and Blossburg. And we're back on KC101. Time for part 2 of Saturday with Seniors. Betty Mengee joining us here, 94 years old. Grew up in Niles Valley, you said, which is north of Wellsboro.
That's where I was born.
Yep. Tell me about your first job here. How old were you when you got your first paycheck?
I was probably maybe 17, and I worked at Harry's Dairy Store.
Harry Dairy.
Yep, right on Main Street in Wellsboro. Had to be there early, put the beans on to soak and cook them. I didn't have to bake the pies, but I had to do a lot of things there. That was my first job.
Do you remember what they paid you?
You know, I do not remember. I know it couldn't have been much.
And most people we talked to, $1 or $2 a week was about the salary going at that time period.
Yeah, it was.
And when did you get your driver's license in your car? Do you remember?
Yes, I do. My husband and I were married. We were married in 1946, so I was very young. And I finally decided that I wanted to drive, so he taught me to drive, but it was a stick shift car. And for 9 years after I got my license, I did not drive. I wasn't brave enough.
Couldn't get up the courage to try that, huh?
And of course, you only had one car.
Yeah.
And so he had to drive to work.
A lot more of the roads then were dirt, weren't they? I would imagine the majority of the side roads, everything but the major roads, were dirt in the 40s.
Well, they were, but not where we were.
And you were right near the train tracks too, weren't you, where you grew up?
Yes, we lived right by.
How many trains a day would come by? Would they wake you up at night? And
yes, they would. Lots of people used to kid my dad and mom that's why we had so many children, because the trains woke them up at night. And I do remember the troop trains going through.
You do, the troop trains. Yeah. Was everybody out waving, and must have been an emotional time?
Yeah, it was.
Did you yourself ever take the train from Wellsboro to anywhere? I know service ran till the I want to say in the 1950s.
Yeah.
Would have been a young kid.
I never did. No, there has been trips though down to Corning, I believe.
Yeah, the Tiger Center Railroad, but back in the original days of commuter rail.
Down by the dam.
Yeah. Did you come into town much to Wellsboro as a kid?
Oh, no. My parents came every Saturday.
I hear Saturday was a really busy day, Friday and Saturday.
It was.
You remember going shopping with them to get the groceries? Did they take you along?
Never. I was home watching the children.
So you said, what, 16 kids? 17 kids, 2 parents in the house, so 19 people. How many? That was the big grocery cart you had to fill.
You know, my dad used to give my mom a $5 bill to go and get groceries.
She knew how to shop.
and she got groceries for the week. But you have to remember, we had our own milk and eggs and meat. We had pigs, so we butchered them.
Probably quite a bit of celery, too.
Yep. And lots of celery. We had a roadside stand, and that was my job to tend to that, too.
Yep.
And I did.
How old were you the first time that you ever took a trip that was very far away? You know, more than just Elmira. Was it quite a while before you went on that first trip in your life?
Yes. My brother bought a new car. I think it was 1940. And we took a trip to Yardley, New Jersey. My mom and I. I think another one of us, I don't remember, one of my little brothers probably. And I was probably maybe 13 or 14.
Yep. That was the first time you saw the ocean?
Yes.
Well, very interesting. Anything else that you'd like to share with us? You've had such an amazing life, and your memory is awesome. That's amazing stuff. You remember the details of all your teachers' names and everything?
Yeah.
Anything else unusual that comes to mind in life that you'd like to share, or messages for our younger generation? You know, you see them out there, and they're not living the way that you guys did. And I think they're missing something.
Just to be true to yourself and to God. I believe in God, and I depend on Him a lot.
Your faith has helped you through?
Yes, it has.
Some of the things in life that you needed the help with. So thank you so much. Betty Mengee, 94 years old, joining us here at the Wellsboro Shared Home on Saturday with Seniors. Have a wonderful day.